I also teach stuff such as human beatboxing with sounds such as. But today we're going to do mostly voice gender alteration, as per usual. For those who I can't speak today. For those of whom this workshop is the first that you've seen, I'll be going over some basics. But first off, I do need to give you a reminder on how we work with voice and how we work with the voice safely. First of all, you want to drink water. That sounds pretty obvious, right? We need water to survive in day-to-day life. But when it comes to the voice, we are kind of like using very small little muscles called the vocal folds, right? You might also have called them vocal cords before. Now, these muscles are really important as they pretty much vibrate really quickly, sometimes several hundred times per second. And so you have to keep them hydrated so that they don't end up being all dry. If they end up drying out, then, well, your voice is going to be weaker and probably might end up hurting over time. So be sure that you drink water at least 15 minutes before doing any strenuous or intense voice work. All right? This is very important. Now, just drinking water will not automatically make your voice sound nice instantly. The reason behind that is because you have to let the water hydrate your voice through the bloodstream and the blood flow. It just doesn't happen automatically like that. The water just doesn't touch the vocal folds directly. It has to come from the bloodstream. Now that this is being said, another important tip that I have to give to you is avoid behaviors that can dry out your voice. Typically, smoking or drinking are responsible for making your voice more dry and thus less functional. Now, some medication, I know some people out here might take perhaps spironolactone or other kinds of medications. These can be drying to the voice. Now, very important, do not stop your medication just for voice training, but rather think about it in this way. If you take the medication in the morning, try to practice your voice in the evening. Try to not, smoke and voice train in the same time frame, okay? Now that this is being said, let's talk a little bit about how voice works. So very simply, we like to base ourselves off the PSF model, or the power source filter model. Very simply, you're going to be using your lungs, in which you're going to have air, I know, crazy, and you push that air up to the source. That will be right where your Adam's apple is. Your Adam's apple might be more or less prominent, and despite it being called Adam's apple, it doesn't mean that it's exclusive to people who have not been exposed to people who have only been exposed to testosterone. It's kind of universal for everyone, but testosterone can make the Adam's apple a little bit more prominent. Anyways, once the air reaches the Adam's apple, inside of them you'll find little folds, which we call the vocal folds, and they're going to flap thanks to the air that you provide them. Now, once that air sets those vocal folds in motion, you end up getting a sound, which we call the source sound. And then, next thing that happens is that source sound will then reverberate, bounce around in this cavity, which we call the resonance chamber. We call this the tract. So it's a bunch of tubes, right? One goes to the nose, the other one goes through the mouth. And depending on how small or how big that space is, you're going to get a really dark voice or a really bright voice, okay? Now, this is how it functions. You push air, you set in motion some vocal folds, they create a sound, this sound bounces around, and if the space is really big, you get a dark voice, and if it's really small, you get a bright voice. Okay? Fairly simple, right? Now, with that said, there's another thing that I need to talk about when we talk about vocal safety and vocal health. Generally, just like any muscle, you want to warm up your voice. If you're gonna go run a marathon, you're not just gonna wake up and go run. You better warm up your legs, doing some stretching, and the voice is no different in that regard. Okay, so if you want to be using your voice for a while, and if you want to keep your voice healthy and ready for whatever you're going to throw at it, then it's best to do some vocal warm-up. So what do these vocal warm-up do? Well, what we'd like to do is basically kind of obstruct a little bit the mouth or the nose in some way to kind of get a sound that will kind of create a bit of pressure in the mouth. Now, why create that pressure in the first place? Well, think about it this way. I did mention that the voice functions on the power source filter model. And you see, it's really a one-way vector. You push air, it goes up, and then it reaches out, and voila, you project the voice. But you never really speak by breathing in. I mean, technically you could speak by breathing in, but it's not really a thing that people do. It's funny, it's fun, but it's not really what you do. So we have to be conscious of the fact that the vocal folds always vibrate from bottom to top, like this, and not the other way around. So it's important that we do those vocal warm-ups. Some of these include doing a gentle O sound, O, where your lips are rounded, and as they are rounded, they're a little bit in the way of the sound. Thus, they create a bit of an increased, what we call oral pressure, so like a pressure inside the mouth. But we can do a bit more intense ones, for example, with a Z sound, zzz, right, where your teeth and your tongue are in the way. That's creating an even greater pressure. And that pressure is going to counteract the pressure from your lungs. So basically, you're going to have a pressure above and below, which means that the vocal folds will have an easier time warming up and won't be as stressed as if you just went ahead and did like, ah, because then there would be like no counter pressure to fight the pressure from the lungs. Now, why don't we try to do some vocal warm-ups of our own? You might unmute yourself for this section. What I will do is I will do a vocal warm-up, and then I'll count to 3 and you mimic after me. All right? Let's give this a try. Oh. And you go in 3, 2, 1. Oh. Okay, very good. Now let's try it with the Z sound. And you go in 3, 2, 1. And down. Okay, very good. Now you might try something different. This was a slide. You might try something perhaps like a scale, such as give it a try in 3, 2, 1. Okay, very good. We can try it at an even higher pitch. Very good. Good job. And that's some warm-up that you can do. So we did only a few of them. You might want to maybe do this for like a whole minute or 2 minutes if you want to really be extra about it. But yeah, that's kind of the exercises that you would want to do right after hydrating in the morning when you just get started with your voice, or right before your voice practice. It's always a good thing to do to get your voice started and ready for voice training. Now, please do mute back your mics, because now, as we do per usual, I'm going to have up on stage 2 people who want to feminize their voices and 2 people who want to masculinize their voices. Who might be interested? I'm going to start with mask voice today. All right, who might be interested? Mask voice, anyone? Or perhaps we'll start a fem voice. Okay, let's start a fem voice then. All right, I see you here, King Gergie? King? I'm just going to call you King.
King works fine. Yeah, that works fine.
All right, come up on stage. Come on. Applause for King. All right, hello.
Hello. Let me just...
Hi.
That's better.
Oh, thank you. That is very good. Okay. We got 10 minutes starting from now. Let's go. All right. Hello, King. Welcome to the stage. Is this the very first time you've been here, or?
This is my second class, but the first time I'm up on stage.
All right, that's awesome. What's your knowledge about voice? What's your history with it?
I guess I've probably just very basic knowledge. I have watched a few tutorials online and come to a few of the classes where I can, but because of the time zones, it's kind of tricky to make it. Right now it's 4 a.m. where I'm at, so that's fun.
Oh yeah, that's really late.
But I sort of am all right with pitch, but then my resonance is where I keep, I don't know, it needs work.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so, well then, in that case, let's see how your voice already sounds like. So right now, would you say you're using your femme voice, or you're kind of just not really using it right now?
This isn't me really using it. I kind of default on my mask voice because I'm too shy to push my femme voice usually.
Have you already tried to push your femme voice, or to use a femme voice?
I've tried a couple times, but I always get really awkward with it. That's my main struggle, is I always cringe when I do it, which I'm trying to overcome that.
Which is fine, it's not easy at the start, you're doing a voice that is completely new, that is not like what you usually talk with. So let's give that a try. First of all, I want to kind of test your range. Show me a slide from your lowest pitch up to your highest pitch, kind of like, oh. Give it a try.
Okay.
Okay, pretty good. You're going all the way up to G4. Oh, and then back down. Oh. Okay, so quite a good range, which is more than enough, by the way, to achieve a feminine voice. All right? So with that being said, let's see what we can do with this. You've already tried some resonance exercises before?
A little bit. I have no idea what I'm doing when I do it. I just copy what I've seen online.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well then let's give this a try. Give me a really gentle whisper. I need to test kind of your mic settings. Give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, someone at my door. All right,
okay,
so
good.
Yay! Perks of living not alone. Yay. Okay, so let's give this a try. Give me a really gentle whisper, something you say, pat that cat, but on a whisper, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
All right, very good. Now give this a try. Give me a really dark pat, hot.
Pat that cat.
Very good. And now we're going to climb up with that whisper from dark to bright, like this. Pat, 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 pat.
Pat, 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 pat.
Okay, so you did go from pat to pat. Okay, so you already hear that the whisper is a lot brighter. If you had to gender the whisper, you would have pat that cat, a really masculine whisper, really dark. Yeah. And then you would have the brighter one, which you just did, pat, pat. And what if you try to say a sentence with it? Pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat that cat.
Very good. Now, with that being done, let's try the following. You're going to try and bridge from the whisper into a high pitch, or a high-ish pitch for a femme voice, And with that, we're going to achieve a full voice, which will sound feminine. All right? Or at least brighter. So let's choose a pitch that's easy for you to do. Let's see. Can you match my pitch here? Awesome. Right now your pitch sounds like right? It's not really dark like this, but it's it could be brighter. So then we take this and we go to pat that cat. Pa, 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 pa. Once we're there, we then bridge into that pitch. Pat that cat. Okay, give it a try.
Okay. Pat that cat.
Yes, very good.
that
So
good?
you just did pat that cat. Yeah, no, you did it. Okay, now try and compare it to like a darker sound. Like, what if you did like pat that cat?
Oh yeah, like pat
Yeah.
that cat.
See, now you've done like a really yawny version of it, right? It's like pat that cat versus pat that cat, right? So the version you did was really bright. You achieved it. All right, let's go back up there and see. Maybe we can try a bit of a higher pitch. Da da da. Match my pitch here. All right, you're already starting to lean brighter on those higher pitches. It wasn't like it was more like a okay, so we're getting close to that. And now let's start following. Pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat that cat.
That was so femme sounding. Yeah, that was really good. Good job. That was really good.
Cool. I can't hear myself like fully when I'm on my VR setup, so I think
Luckily
that
for
helps
you,
when I can't hear myself.
Luckily for you, it's recorded, so you can always like go back to it and listen back to it, you know? So, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Awesome. You did really good. So now let's try and put that voice to use. How about you go ahead and read the board up there and read the sentence. Up there. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. You can reuse the technique we've used so far to set your voice. Go for it.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Good job. You've done firm tempos.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yay! All right, that's really good. Okay, so now all there's left to do is probably like maintain it, use it more, polish it. You might find some caveats and some drops along the way. Perhaps you might do something like, that mad brat sat on that flat mat, and you're really like, okay, something was off in that sentence, in which case you might want to like record yourself, go back to the sound, figure out what exactly sounded off in a sentence, and kind of fix it. Okay, I want to see how you do with the other sentences. All right, back up there. The crowbar opened the subpar car.
The crowbar opened the subpar car.
Very good. See, that was really good. There was maybe like a little bit of a hiccup there. Like you did like the crowbar, and then you kind of like shot back up, right? So it's those little things that you have to kind of like think about. It's like, okay, maybe crow was a challenging sound. Was it the K sound that was challenging? Did I do a dark K that motivated like a dark resonance? Maybe you did something like crowbar that could motivate like a darker sound. There's kind of like a rule, quote unquote, of sounds being adjacent to each other. So if you have like a really dark K sound as opposed to a really bright K sound, then you know the darker K sound might motivate the rest of the word to be darker. Crowbar, because there's less travel distance for your larynx, right? But if your K sound and your R sound and your O sound, crowbar, then you got it all fully. But you kind of seem to like, you know, have found that brighter position. You know, you did you've made the space effectively smaller. You seem to maintain it pretty well. Except on like perhaps like the stutter, but then you really quickly fix yourself. So you seem to be pretty good at listening to your voice. So I'm not too afraid on you being able to self-correct yourself. All I have to say is just like, don't be too harsh of a judge on yourself. It's hard to say that, but try to be less subjective and more objective. No, your voice is not masculine or feminine. It's dark or bright. You know, no, your voice doesn't sound fake. it sounds buzzy, like use the right words to understand objectively what's happening with your voice. And with that, that is the end of our session. All right, big applause for
Thank
King.
you.
You did really well.
Thank you.
Congrats. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, there's quite a few more people here who might be interested in masculinizing their voices. Anyone
Me.
interested? Please
Me.
raise your hand. Hi.
I
Yeah,
am.
Koi-fish.
Please.
Oh, wow, okay.
Hi.
Move up on stage. Come on. The stairs are here or there, or you choose the stairs. Yep, jumping's not good enough. Yep, all right. Applause for Koi-fish. Hello, welcome. Hi.
Hello, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so you want to learn to make your voice more
Masculine sounding.
That's correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Awesome. We got 10 minutes starting from now. All right, so koi fish, or just koi, I suppose. What do you already know about voice? Kind of like, do you have like some basic understanding of it? Have you tried some stuff on your own before, or are you like completely beginning on this?
I'm kind of completely a little bit blind. I mean, I've looked up masculinization a bit. Like, I know that the amount of space in your mouth helps with masculinization or feminization, with like E like this or ah like this. But that's
Okay.
about it.
Let's talk about this then. So you were mentioning mouth size. So one thing to know about resonance is that you will find, several types of manners to change resonance. One might be by making your mouth really big, which leads into a darker sound. Like this is like a really big mouth with like a feminine voice, right? And you can also like make the mouth really small, which leads to like a British sound, and that's without touching on the pharyngeal size. Now you already know about the mouth size, which is good, but there's, I think, in my opinion, a more important component of it, which is pharyngeal size. And this is what we try to do the most with when we change the resonance. We want to basically reduce, or in your case, increase the size of the vocal tract by making the pharyngeal size bigger. Why is that? Why do I prefer that one to the other one? Well, that is simply because when you're going to be speaking, your lips, your tongue are going to be moving out and about. The way you pronounce a, e, o, I, u, u are all different vowel sounds that require a different shape of the mouth. One of the problems I have with altering the mouth size only is that you might rely on certain sounds more than others, and overall, whenever you're going to have to do a different sound, it's going to be a bit trickier to kind of learn the right resonance. Whereas if you just move the larynx really high or really low, then you're going to actually just change the space in your neck, or not in your neck, but you know what I mean, kind of at the pharynx, which is basically the tube behind your mouth, okay? And changing that will not affect the behavior of your tongue. Well, it will affect the behavior of your tongue a little bit, but it will allow you to have more freedom with the movement of your tongue than if you were just using your mouth to change and warp your resonance around. Okay?
Okay.
Now this is just a technical explanation, but the thing stays the same. We still go for sound exploration based exercises to trigger the events we want within our voices. So let's give this a try. Why don't you give me a really bright pat that cat?
Pat that cat.
Now careful here because you're doing it in a voiced manner. I want to hear only a whispered manner. Like this. Pat.
Oh. Pat.
Just the air.
Pat that cat.
Very good. Now we're going to make that darker. Pat, pat, pat.
Pat, 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 pat. Pat, 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 pat.
Very good. So now you went from pat, pat, pat to
Pot, pot, pot.
right? So you effectively achieved a darker sound. A darker sound means that you've kind of literally made your larynx drop a little bit lower. You might feel it more or less depending on how prominent your Adam's apple is. But one thing is sure, if you achieve a darker sound, you've achieved a bigger space.
Pod, thud, god.
Exactly. Right? Now, with that said, we would want to basically take that whisper and transform that into a voice. Because so far you realize that the whisper is just a whisper, right? It doesn't really yield like a voice, right? And why do we go for the whisper, right? Well, if you don't go for a whisper, you basically hear the vocal folds vibrate at the same time. And when you hear the vocal folds vibrate, you hear da 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 da, you hear pitch, right? But when you whisper, you get to only hear the resonance. Right? So you can kind of like listen to that melody, if you will, of you can like kind of like listen to like that melody of resonance instead of having the pitch layered on top all the time, which is why we like to use that whispered exercise. Okay? Now, with that being said, you've achieved a darker sound. Let's make that into like an overall fuller voice. First of all, I kind of want to gauge and see what your lowest pitch is like. It's like your lowest comfortable pitch. So kind of like go from like a slide from your highest down to your lowest.
Oh.
Give it a try. Okay, all the way down to E3. Oh. Okay, very good. Now you're a little bit higher. Oh, on G3. All right. Now you're up again. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. Let's try this. I want you to mimic after me. Oh.
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 Okay, you're going down further faster than I do. Oh. Okay, maintain that pitch. Oh. And now do. Now do. Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Oh. Okay. We're struggling a little bit of pitch accuracy. That's a bit tricky, but it's okay. Now, just like go to the lowest you can do and try to hold it there. Oh, okay, you're on G3, but I know I've heard you go down to E3 before. Can you do the slide again? Oh. Okay, this time we got F3. Okay, so we're not super consistent on how low you can get, but I'm pretty sure I've heard an E3 at some point. Right now I have an F3. We can try and masculinize your voice on that pitch. Give me that sound again.
Okay.
You're a bit higher than me. I was here. You were here. Okay, very good. Now let's try and jump from like your like your normal voice, I suppose, normal like in air quotes, you know, like and then go back to that's a solid one. Yes. Okay, so you went from A sharp 3 down to F3, if not E3. Okay, so let's try this again. Up here again. A little bit lower. Okay. So pitch accuracy is something that you might want. It's fine. It's fine. It takes practice to be good at matching pitch. Okay? So it's fine, really. Don't worry. Now we'll try and just see if we can just incorporate that darker resonance into your voice. low pitch or not, you can still go from hello, my name is Koi to hello, my name is Koi, just by applying the resonance exercise. Okay? So let's give that a try.
Okay.
I just want us to like find a pitch that we can like match like pretty well. So like, can you match this pitch? Okay, let's do the same pitch that you did. Okay. Okay, we're gonna try and make our voice darker on this pitch. So now let's go back to the pat that cat.
Okay.
Really dark patch. Okay. Okay, and try and say
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, try to really keep it on the whisper because you kind of like force it like but the voice kind of came through. Make sure to get
Pat
like you're just breathing out, you know?
Okay. Oh, is it over already?
Yes, but I just want you to
Okay.
try.
Okay.
cat.
That cat.
Very good. And now from there,
Pat that cat.
give it a try.
Pat that cat.
All right, a little bit here. So, pat that cat. Now compare it how you would say it normally. Perhaps like, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay. Pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Okay, so you did go from like, pat that cat to
Pat that cat.
so there is a bit of darkness here that you reached with that darker sound, but I think with practice you can certainly get a darker sound. I know I've heard the whisper be darker than what you've achieved in terms of darkness in your fully closed voice, not closed voice, but phonated voice, the one where you're not whispering, right? Of course,
Yeah.
there's some issues with like pitch accuracy. So what I'd strongly recommend you do is you get like a pitch monitoring app. Depends if you're on iOS or Android. You might have like a wide variety of choices. You even have some on PC. So you have iOS or Android?
Android.
All right, I really recommend Vocal Pitch Monitor. Voice Tools is good, but I like Vocal Pitch Monitor because it gives you like the line and you can record your voice at the same time. And it doesn't really tell you what your voice is gendered as. It just tells you that's the pitch you do, which is all it really needs to know. So yeah, I would recommend
Okay.
this one. It has a nifty and nice voice recording option. So record your voice, play it back yourself, back, and with the feedback, just keep improving on your voice. Okay? So to make sure
Okay.
that you practice
Thank you so
the
much.
whisper- You're really welcome. Make sure that you practice kind of like trying to go for those lower pitches more consistently. Become aware of your range, you know, like I feel like you might not even know how low your range is, you know, like I feel it seems to me like you barely ever use those low pitches and like it kind of like
Yeah.
shows in like how it's hard for you to be accurate on those. So definitely practice holding your voice at those lower pitches to become more accurate and thus achieve like a more stable pitch that will then allow you to like stably go into a chosen pitch from a darker whisper. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Best of luck for practice, Koi Fish. Applause, applause. All right. So next up, I'll be having up on stage someone who wants to feminize their voices. Okay, who has never been on stage before? I see two people already. All right, Tara Tori, come up on stage. Come on, come on, come on. Applause for Tara. All right, hello there.
Hi.
We got 10 minutes starting from now. Let's go. All right. Hello, Tara, or Tori. I'm not sure how I call you. Is this the first time you're on stage? Yes, I suppose.
Yeah.
Don't think I've seen you. All right. What is it you like to work on today? Feminizing your voice?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. If I may, your voice already sounds quite feminine.
Well, the issue for me is that some people just tell me that it sounds kind of like too much like a Valley girl voice or like a California girl voice.
All right. So your worry is that you're kind of set in like this kind of like this super bright like California girl voice, like, oh my God, I cannot believe you've done this to me. And you feel like you kind of like fit your voice into a form of stereotype and you kind of like want to get away from it. Well, I wonder, are you a Californian girl? Because maybe, it's just bound to happen. Okay. Are you like UK or just another part of America or
I'm from
I don't know.
America.
Okay, gotcha. So, I mean, technically, if you've got the point of the California voice, then you have already achieved like the most bright voice you can achieve. So perhaps what you might want to achieve here is, I don't know, like a lower pitched voice or maybe like a softer voice that's maybe not as bright, Yeah, I kind of feel like that's what you would want to be looking at here.
I guess more like a softer voice.
Okay. I don't feel like your voice is harsh. When I think harsh voice or buzzy voice, I think of a voice like this. But your voice is just like, your voice is like really bright and like kind of like just reaching that like bright fullness. Like your voice is just really bright and perhaps there's a bit of that creaky sound, which can be heard in that kind of like Valley Girl kind of sound, So you might want to look a little bit at how we can perhaps open the vocal folds a bit more to achieve a less closed sound, which is what triggers the creak. And we can maybe look at softening your voice overall. But I don't know, your voice is pretty soft already. So let's see. I've pulled up here a little graph here or a little slide here that shows us kind of like what are the common feminine ranges. You are very much in here. But just know that you can also bring your voice a little bit lower to like those lower pitches. If you want to go to like a lower pitch that is being said, I feel like the Valley Girl voice is a cocktail of many things. 1, it's a really bright voice. 2, it's generally higher pitched. And 3, it contains a lot of vocal creak or vocal fry. Sometimes you might have heard the term before, like kind of like this type of sound, right? So let's see. I want us to do some reading and see how we do with this. All right, how about you read that very first sentence for me?
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Okay, so what I heard was something like this. Hello, good morning, how are you? So like, it's really bright, it's like really small, it's like really like, there's like a lot of creak, kind of like this, okay? I personally like that kind of voice, So in that case, the creak really showed up. Hello, good morning, how are you? Perhaps you could like open the vocal folds a bit more and instead get, hello, good morning, how are you? And achieve that same intonation, that same bright voice, but with less of that hello, good morning, how are you, of that creak in your voice. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about that. Vocal fold closure. Sorry, graphic. Okay. It's what your vocal folds would look like if we were to shine a camera down your throat. But it's a drawing, so it's not too bad, I hope. Now, what you need to know about this is that when you are achieving a creakier voice, your vocal folds are leaning towards that position. Now, careful, your vocals are not completely closed all the time when you do that kind of voice. See it more as kind of like how much, like if there's like, okay, let me explain how the voice works really simply. When the vocal folds vibrate, they create a sound. So far, so good, right? But they create that sound by opening and closing really quickly, sometimes several hundreds of times per second. It's pretty impressive. Now, they can open and close really quickly, but the way they open or close can achieve a more open pattern or a more closed pattern, right? So that means that if I am breathy, like if I speak like this, then my vocal folds still open and close really quickly, but they never fully close because you hear the air leaking past my vocal folds, kinda like that, right? right? It sounds like there is a whisper behind my voice. Now, with that being said, you have the opposite problem. Your voice is actually leaning a little bit too much on the closed end. You get a creaky sound as a result, instead of a balanced sound, in which case you're no longer just creaky or just breathy, right? It's an acting, it's a balancing act, rather, I should say. So how do we achieve this and how do we do this? Well, you can try and lean towards a more breathy sound or just generally explore going alongside that gradient. So let's give that a try together. I wanted to try and go from a whisper to a breathy sound to a balanced sound and then into a creaky sound. Try to go for the 4 steps. Right? If I had to do like what the vocal folds would do, like, it would be kind of like right? They would kind of like close more and more as they vibrate. All right? Not exactly accurate, but it gives you kind of like a way to visualize it in your head. Now give this a try. Give me a whisper. Sorry, breathy sound. Okay? And as you close more, you should achieve a balanced sound. Yes, that's it. And then if you close more, okay, you did it. Now let's do it the other way around, from creaky to balanced to breathy to whisper. Give it a try. Okay, very good. Now what you've done is a closure gradient from whisper to creaky and from creaky to whispery, going through the different states of how much the vocal folds are open or closed. And you already see where this is going. If with your voice you're like saying hello, good hello, good morning, how are you? You have a lot of creak, then you'd want to kind of like balance a little bit closer towards the breathy sound. You're not trying to be breathy, but if you are creaky, you want to go towards the breathiness to basically find the balanced sound in the middle. So you have like, hello, good morning. You can try, hello, good morning. You could give that a try. Go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, good. Does that sound creaky? No. Hello, good morning. And then you can say, how are you?
How are you?
Okay, very good. Now let's do it in a normal intonation. Hello, good morning. How are you?
Hello, good morning. How are you?
All right, there was a bit of creak here. Hello, good morning. How are you? But only at the end of sentences. I don't have a problem with this. Like, at least the creak is not overall in the entirety of your voice. Now, you have to talk about the fact that creak can very much be a stylistic choice. But in your case, it was more like an imposed choice of your voice on you, right? You can choose to have creak at the end of sentences on lower pitches. That's personally what I like to do a lot of. Hello, good morning. How are you? I think it's nice. It's kind of like adding texture. Some people don't like it. You might want to do something like, hello, good morning. How are you? And avoid the creak completely. So that choice is entirely yours. But just know that the lower in pitch you get, the more likely your vocal folds are to creak, because the lower you go in pitch, the more vocal fold mass you're going to have to use, and that can kind of encourage the vocal fold to be a little bit more closed, thus creating that creaky sound. Okay? Let's try a different sentence. Let's try the next one. I'll have a cup of coffee. Yeah, just
I'll have a cup of coffee.
Very good. I'll have a cup of coffee. Okay. Now, normally, how would you have read that? Maybe you would have read it like, I'll have a cup of coffee, like the creak all over your sentence, right? Maybe you can now try to even do, I'll have a cup of coffee and keep the low pitch rid of creak. Give that a try.
I'll have a cup of coffee.
Okay, the creak here was a lot lighter. See, there's actually a difference here. I'll have a cup of coffee and I'll have a cup of coffee. See? So that depends on how much intensity you put behind your voice as well. So yeah, have fun, explore your voice with that knowledge in mind. You do want to try a little bit to lean towards the more open end of the voice to achieve less creaky voices, and that will probably get you out of one of the stereotypes that makes up the Valley Girl voice. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Applause for Tara! All right. These are some real applause. Okay, so let's see. Next up, I'll be having up on stage someone who wants to masculinize their voice. And if there's no one that wants to do this, maybe someone who wants to make their voice more androgynous. No one interested? All right, well, then I suppose I'll go for another femme voice in that case. All right, I see you here, Kizu A. Come up on stage. Come on. Stairs are here or there. Applause for Kizu! All right, hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi. All right, is this your first time here? Workshop on stage?
Yeah, my first
Okay.
time.
All right, awesome. What do you know of voice training or voice theory in general?
Not much. I used to be in chorus, so like a little bit of knowledge, but not a lot.
Okay. Gotcha. So the knowledge, of course, might be very different as it's more like singing knowledge. Here, in that case, we might want to do something that's a bit more leaning towards speaking. So let's talk a little bit about voice. You've been here at the very start, and you kind of have seen how the voice works, right? You use air in your lungs, it vibrates the vocal folds, and then it propagates in the vocal tract. And then here, the size of the vocal tract is what decides if your voice is really
Big and dark, or if it's really
small and bright, right? And that's what we want to achieve today. Now, how about you give me a slide from your lowest pitch up to your highest pitch? Kind of like, oh. Give it a try. Interesting. Did you notice how you did this? Oh. You did this instead of doing oh. So it's funny because you kind of have your resonance scale brighter as you go for higher pitches, which is kind of what we want. You kind of have this conflation between pitch and resonance where the higher in pitch you go, the smaller the space gets. And guess what? That's exactly what we want to do for feminizing our voice. So that's pretty good. Now try to match my pitch here. Careful here, you're one octave lower. Okay, let's try this together. Good. Very good. And now, okay, that's a G3. Hold it there a little bit. All right, very good. Try this. Very good. Again. Very good. This is kind of like teaching you pitch accuracy. You might be
talking all the way down here, but if you can reliably go back to
it makes our practice more easy. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So your mask voice might be like,
down here,
but our fem voice will be up here. Okay? Now we've done this so far. Let's talk about resonance and let's talk about vocal tract size. Remember, I said if you get a
really big space, you get a really masculine dark voice, and if you get a really
really small space, then you get a really feminine bright voice. Let's give that a try. I want you to say the sentence, pat that cat on a whisper, kind of like this.
pat that cat.
Give it a try.
Pat that cat.
Very good. So you're here, pat that cat. Now let's try this. Pat, 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 pat.
Pat, 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 pat.
Yes, very good. And now say, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Very good. Now you have the really dark
Pat that cat.
and the really bright pat that cat. Just like with the pitch before, try this.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Not as bright as what you had before. Pat that cat. I know I've heard you go pat, 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 pat. Try again to go up there. Pat that cat.
Pat cat.
Good. Okay. So here your accuracy is not as good as with your pitch. See? You have gone darker and then brighter, but not as bright as what you had before, right? So you can kind of like see it as like different floors and different levels. You can have
Pat, pat, pat.
pat, 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 right? Sometimes you might not reach the highest and brightest, which in that case, I do recommend that you do spend a bit more time practicing that whisper and finding that really small space, okay? That's for later use for you and later practice for you after the session. Now let's focus on the present moment. So, pat, pat, cat. Go back to that bright sound.
Pat cat.
Okay, very good. And now to the following. Pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat that cat.
Okay, very good. Pat that cat. Although the pitch was like E3, so like that was pretty low. Let's go for a higher pitch where it's easier to achieve a feminine voice. Da 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 da. Okay, let's go up to A3. Pat that cat. So let's try this.
Pa, pa, pa.
Pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat that cat. Sorry.
Okay. It's all right. It's fine. Accuracy here is difficult. We're kind of like balancing two things at the same time. A high pitch that you generally don't really use and a really bright resonance which you don't generally use. So you did and then your voice kind of like dropped back to its old ways, to its old behaviors, right? So let's talk a little bit about how we can do this a little bit better. Just like before, with Tara on stage here, we want to look a little bit about on how the closure gradient works, right? Because basically what we're doing when going from the whisper to the full voice to the balanced voice, pat that cat. Well, that's basically just going from like a whispery sound to a breathy sound to a balanced sound, right? So let's try this at a low pitch. Maybe you might like try it at a pitch that's more comfortable for you and kind of explore with that. Give me like a low comfortable pitch that's easy for you to do. Okay, give me like an O sound on this.
Oh.
Oh.
Very good. And now try to go from that O sound to a breathy O sound. Balanced O,
Oh.
breathy O.
Oh.
Give that a try.
Oh.
Okay, let's try to bridge from the balanced into the breathy.
Oh.
You push a lot more air. Give that a try.
Oh.
Okay, so here the bridge was a little bit too fast. You leaned into the whispery sound a bit too quickly. So you went balance, like oh, oh, oh. But in the middle, you want to find oh, right? Try this time to go from the whisper. Oh. Okay, give it a try.
Oh, sorry.
Whisper.
Oh, wait.
Take a deep breath in. You will need a lot of air for
Sorry.
this. Oh.
Oh,
Hmm. Maybe try it at a higher pitch. It might be easier to be breathy at a higher pitch. Oh. Oh, yes, very good. Now try this. Oh. Yes, it was really short there. But the that part here, you got it. Okay? Now let's try this again, but at the high pitch we had before. Oh, up here, match my pitch. You can match it like this too. Oh, if you want. Okay? Oh. Okay, and now let's do this. Oh. Okay, very good. Now we're going to go back to the ah sound and pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Yes, there you go. So you went pat that cat. A little bit meek, a little bit quiet, but that's it. That's a brighter sound with that higher pitch. Pat that cat. Okay, just really quickly, how would you try this again? But this time read the very top sentence. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Give it a try. Yeah.
That. Oh, I lost it. Wait.
It's okay. Follow after me. And then, yes. That mad brat.
That mat.
Yes.
That mad.
Yes.
Sat on that flat mat.
Yes, good job. That sounded so good. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, good job. Woo! All right. You did it. Good job. So yeah, that's what you want to do. Use the whispers to get a smaller space, bridge that whisper into a full voice, and that mad brat sat. You got yourself a femme voice. Then afterwards, they will have to like break the monotony. That mad brat sat on that flat mat, and keep the resonance really small and bright. That will take a bit of practice, awareness of how your body functions, and you don't need to know like how it functions on a physical level, but for yourself, how it feels, So yeah, do practice this, record yourself, listen back to yourself, and with listening back to yourself, you'll hear the flaws and what sounds good, what doesn't sound good, and keep on practicing on your voice. Okay?
Understood.
Awesome. Good job, Kizu. Applause for Kizu! All right, the extra time was definitely worth it. So, all right, this is about to be the end of our little session here. So I'll do the end. Well, let's see, how much have we got? Oh yeah, we're pretty much on time. So I don't want to hold our dear streamer here, so I'll be wrapping it up for the stream. I'll be answering 1 or 2 questions after I say goodbye, so stick around. So yeah, thank you for watching this workshop today. Again, my name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization,
Voice masculinization.
and stuff such as human beatboxing with sounds such as... So if you want to learn any of this, I have a Discord server called Scientifically Augmented Voice, and I cannot use my voice to talk. So I do public lessons over there, and you can come in, listen in, and learn alongside the people that do lessons there publicly. You can join my Discord at discord.gg/small dbwr big QMV. And otherwise, you can just contact me on Discord at savvy_sav, just like my name, but all in lowercase. So yeah, just hang out in there. Otherwise, of course, you already have the Trans Academy Discord if you haven't joined it already. Please do join it. There is the hashtag voice training, chat with the voice training gang, of course, which will be helping you out if you have any questions about voice and when I'm not around. You might also see sometimes Chessa who answers questions in there. So yeah, thank you all today for showing up, and I'll be catching you in the next one in 2 weeks. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Savvy.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.